things have been kind of cruel, as you can see. I feel like that at the beginning of the week, it was already starting to be about 20 degrees, 24 degrees, and almost felt like it was the first taste of summer over here, only to start to get winter's last breath, like his last gasp of coldness, and it kind of hit us pretty badly. Monday was a little coolish and wet and rainy. Then it was kind of cold with maybe minimal sunshine. And yesterday, when I was over at the Piccolo Espresso Bar, that's when it started to get kind of nice. And here I am once again on another day. It's supposed to be 17 degrees. So welcome to another edition of the Wandering Ukie Cheese Café. As I'm recording this, I'm getting to the tail end of my vacation. I was trying to do a good balance between resting, catch up with people, and then creating new content for everyone to amuse everyone. And right now I'm on Peel Street, and I have an idea for a new place to check out just by some, just some stuff that I saw on Instagram. It's like I follow a lot of restaurants, bars, cafes, and sometimes these new places come up on my feed, and I think, hey, let's go check it out. So let's get right to this. This is even more uphill than I anticipated. I keep forgetting that once you get past de Maisonneuve along Peel, then it starts to get a little bit steeper. There's some nice areas around here though, so I thought it would have been worth highlighting. Like most of the stuff over here would be, I'm gonna guess, the old Golden Square Mile neighborhood of Montreal, but also especially the McGill campus. So it seems like you got a lot of old fancy architecture here. You know, maybe one of these days I'll take another visit on the western side, because that could be kind of nice to show off. But I'm going to be making my way eastward instead, because like I said, I got a new beer microbrewery that's going to be around the corner. Interesting in trying it out. Whew. Yeah, here I thought I was in shape, but when it comes to uphill, it's a bit of a struggle. But while I'm catching my breath, I can suggest you do one thing. Click that subscribe button below and put notifications on, so that way you'll get an indication that a new video is ready to watch. Oh, and give me a thumbs up too, because the thumbs up helps promote the video on YouTube. Yep, finally on the solid ground. I'm going to be going downhill. Like you already know, walking downhill is a lot easier than having to walk uphill. So now my current destination, or my location, is Pine Avenue. For most parts within Montreal, Pine Avenue is the dividing point between the Ville-Marie/downtown area and the Plateau Mont-Royal. So familiar territory because I've walked by here a few times, but once again, kind of nice to showcase another angle. And in fact, I'm actually at the foot of Mount Royal right now, along with the old Royal Victoria Hospital. That's the hospital I was born in. Say it before and I'll say it again. Every time I look at that thing, it always looks like something out of a Castlevania game. I feel like if I go up there at night, I'm gonna run into Dracula. Probably in October I will. Very nice. I keep saying that they don't really build them like they used to. The architecture on some of these older buildings is incredible. Intricate stonework, the roofing, and everything. Yeah, it's like what I say. They don't build these, or they don't build churches like they used to. Assuming anybody builds a church these days. Wait, Monster Mash? Seriously, that's like a delayed reaction to the Castlevania joke from earlier. I swear my system probably needs a reboot if it's getting slow with the trophy achievements. Percival Molson? Well, that's another Molson I never knew about. I knew about John Molson, not just for Molson beer, but also because John Molson School of Business is part of Concordia, where I graduated from. I've seen Jeff Molson as well, and Percival Molson now. So there's another part of the Molson family. Wait, Percival. If you shorten it, it basically becomes Percy. Percy's not a name that I really hear much of these days when I think about it. I mean, in my case, the most famous Percy I could think of is Percy Sledge. In case you wonder who that is, he's the one who sang When a Man Loves a Woman. He did have a few other songs that didn't hit as big, but man, what a legacy he left behind with that one song. So full of emotion and soul. Small. That's not even a word. Let's play that a bit. Oh, wow. It's very similar to when I was walking around here on Monday when I was going to the cafe. It's kind of strange to think that this is all the damage that I'm seeing after that ice storm that took place about almost 2 weeks ago. In fact, there's a few things here, like right in back of me, there's this giant tree that got uprooted. Who would have thought that so much rain turning to ice would have been such a huge problem? Well, it's going to take a little time before they start getting everything cleaned up around here. So, now I decided to make my way onto Duluth Avenue. Technically it's a Duluth West because I'm not by Saint Laurent just yet, but it's a fun street for me personally, and actually what you could do is, if you want, revisit that link on the top right corner when I did a video along Duluth, did a little bit of a hop. I've showcased that a number of times, and I've mentioned it before, but of all the videos I've done over the summer, that's one of my personal favorites. Duluth to Saint Laurent, and my next destination is going to be Rachel Street. Getting a strange sense of deja vu, like I've been around here before. I'll figure out my steps soon enough. One thing I'm really certain about is that I am going to kind of need a coffee for myself, because an energy boost before getting to my destination is going to be required. And luckily, there's probably no shortage of shops to check out around here.
Was it summer when the river ran dry? Or was it just another dam? When the evil of a snowflake in June.
You know, I actually meant to get this for to go, but instead it was given to me in a nice glass. But I'm kind of okay with that, honestly. Because that's the beauty about being vacation or a day off when you're doing a wandering. You take some time, you walk around, find a good coffee shop to go into, and then just take your time to sit down, relax, enjoy whatever you want to order. I decided to get myself an allongé here instead of my usual Americano. If you still remember my explanation from a while back, allongé is basically one shot of espresso, which is like 1.5 ounces, with one shot of water. So it's like 1.5 ounces of water to add to that. So the idea is that you're just going to be diluting a bit of the coffee flavor to give it a little bit, I guess it's easier to drink. Let's face it, espressos are highly concentrated and not everyone's going to like a strong coffee flavor, especially if you're used to only drip coffee, but it's good stuff. Oh yeah, the location I'm in, it's someplace that's called Café Replika. I do remember the last walk I did on Rachel Street that I saw this here and thought it looked nice. Some parts of it look pretty rustic, like wooden counters, very DIY, I guess. I'm sure I could take a deeper look. And of course, there's some nice artwork that's laying around over here that you would find almost every coffee shop. I don't see anything that's for sale like you would at other ones. Then again, I haven't really done a deep dive. I'm just sitting down to get myself energized before I continue eastward along Rachel. I'm probably going to revisit a few other memories from when I was walking down here within the last year. Delicious. I didn't think I did anything to deserve a trophy that time. Okay, that made a nice little stop over here just as a quick breather. And yeah, I was like even just thinking about it after I finished that other segment. Stopping off for a coffee, sitting down, taking your time, moving on to the next spot. It's almost like giving me flashbacks to Spain. Because I did a very similar thing. Walk around, find a nice terrace to go have maybe a carajillo, café con leche, possibly a little beer. Those are fun times. And that's the beauty about vacation. And actually, one thing I just realized too when I was looking out is I was on the corner of Rachel East and Laval Avenue. So Laval is pretty familiar to me because once again, when I was doing my wander to find my dad's old areas, Laval Street was a location of his third apartment after he was born. So once again, I got a genetic predisposition to look around the Plateau. Yeah, and right now, as you could probably notice, I'm not wearing a coat. It's one of those days where it's really confusing weather. You wake up, you gotta get a scarf, but then as time goes on in the day, it becomes a bit more like late spring. Crazy. So on that note, I'm gonna keep going eastward, see where else I could find. So I just passed by Saint Denis Street not too long ago. Hung around a few times around there. I do remember last fall I did stop off around there for a quick drink before getting some duck confit, but I'm actually thinking of another route that I took. Saint Denis, Rachel, La Fontaine Park, that was among my very first wanders. And actually, I'm gonna put a card on the top right corner for you to take a look at. That was probably one of my first wanders when I was starting to get comfortable coming back into Montreal in the middle of the pandemic. So those were those Crescent Street that I had done, the Plateau Mont-Royal, that I walked from here up until Old Montreal. So I did cover a lot of ground and I feel like I'm having some deja vu coming back here. Almost been 2 years since that. Hard to believe. Yeah, I'm kind of remembering the name of that bar. Verres stérilisés, or sterilized glasses. I guess supposed to mean it's been disinfected or made sure there's no germs there. Well, even if they're not sterilized like it's equipment at a hospital, I would still hope that they would be kind of clean because I wouldn't want to have my beer in a dirty glass. Vitamins my ass. Okay, I'm having some flashbacks here. I was around this spot like almost a year ago to the day. A year ago minus 1 week. The Pub Pit Caribou. Pretty nice spot. Almost tempted to grab a drink because the place I want to go to later on, as far as I can tell on the menu, they don't have anything like a New England IPA. I feel like maybe I should do one over here as a starter beverage before hitting the road. I don't know if I should find it funny or kind of disconcerting the fact that whenever I do some filming around here, sometimes a certain lighting or even the mirror might actually catch me showing my camera as well. So it's almost like it's ruining the movie magic. Ah well, it's not much you can really do about that. So I got lucky this time. Unlike last year where I think I came on a Saturday and the terrace was already filled up. It was also a pretty warm day. I did manage to get a good spot over here to sit down and enjoy a bit of the outdoors. Luckily, this place only opens at 3 o'clock, so it does give me a little bit of time to just, enjoy a beer here before it really starts to get packed. 5, 6, that's when most of these bars are going to be really starting to get more people, which makes sense because everyone's going to be finished work. They're going to want to go grab a drink and grab what they call a 5 à 7 or a 5 to 7 here. The equivalent term in English would be a happy hour. But I had to get one of my favorite beers here. There was a lot on the menu I wanted to try, but I'm going for the classic. It's a Paradise Point. And it's a New England IPA that you already know I'm very familiar with, and I showcase a lot on the channel, but I love this one. Very delicious. And it seems like that this one is made with orange peel in here too. So the only other ones I know that have orange peel right off the bat are some Belgian whites. So if you think like Hoegaarden, you think like Belgian Moon, you kind of get the idea of that style. Add some coriander in there and you practically get the same kind of beer. It's pretty good stuff. Quite familiar with a lot of the classic beers here, because most of the cans that I see, I can get in most of the stores, like a lot of grocery stores, but you can especially find it at Peluso, Sitfred, like those kind of specialty shops. There seems to be a menu of new ones that I'm not quite familiar with. I feel like it's the first time. La Mouche Natashkan. I'm not sure what those are all about, but they seem to have a few other good ones that might be worth checking out one of these days, if I ever make a return visit sometime soon. These are a pretty good grisette that I've talked about a lot before. Basically, it's a French farmhouse ale that's supposed to be good for drinking when you're thirsty. It's supposed to be a dry taste. Mademoiselle Manon, Heffenweisen. That's supposed to be like a German-style white beer. And a cold IPA called Green Butt. Drinking Green Butt? Yeah, you make up your own punchline about that. I swear, I'm getting a lot more trophies than I expected today. So, thanks to Dave in the comments section, I was kind of told I should try one last beer over here before going, just because it is my style. And there was no way I couldn't have done it in retrospect. I decided to go for the Green Butt Cold IPA. Yeah, you can make up your own joke about it too. It's a cold IPA, which my understanding means that it's fermented in a cold temperature as opposed to a warmer temperature. Apparently it does something different with the hops. But again, I kind of did this just because of the name. Good thing too that I bring up about these microbrewers is you can always get these samplers. Like we're talking 5-6 ounces. So it's a way to try all these sorts of beers over here without going a little bit overboard. And it's a good thing I did it here too, because this one's a 7%er, so yeah, I can handle a pint of this. But because I want to go somewhere else after this, I want to make sure I have enough room to pace myself. Well, cheers to the posterior of the Jolly Green Giant, or the Incredible Hulk, or insert any other green dude you could think of. Strong, but it tastes refreshing. Makes me think back to a cold IPA that I tried when I was over at Le Vestiaire up in Plaza Saint-Hubert. I should probably highlight that again one day. So, goal here is just to chip away at this thing that kind of looks like a wine glass, and then afterwards I'm going to get to my main destination. And in terms of the meal, I kind of know what I want. Alright, that was a really tasty IPA and sampler of a cold IPA. It does feel kind of nice to be over here for a more sunny and optimistic kind of day, because I do remember the last time that I was here was last year, and it almost feels bittersweet. Mostly because I just remember that when I was sitting over here having a drink last year, it was the very last time that I was texting my mom while she was still around. So it does bring back some kind of memories. Now, I'm just continuing eastward on Rachel Street, and what I do see are two other locations just across from me. There's, well, let's see if I can get these on camera. La Banquise, which is a poutine place that's apparently open 24 hours, and Projet Pilote. I was told about this place because it is supposed to be a microbrewery that they make the stuff on the spot and showcase a lot of other things. Thing is that they're only open at 5 p.m. today, which means I have about an hour to kill before I would be able to get to them. I might have to say that for another time when I'm around here. As for La Banquise, well, it's one of those places you can go grab a whole bunch of gimmicky poutines. Thing is though, there's always a lineup, so I feel like it's a bit like Schwartz's, the Avenue at the Plateau Mont-Royal, and other places where it's a tourist trap that everyone's waiting to go. Considering that we are in Montreal, there's no shortage of poutine areas to check out. Yep, right on the other side of the street I'm on is La Fontaine Park. It's one of the larger parks in Montreal, although like I keep pointing out, it's definitely not as big as Maisonneuve Park is. Of course, if you want to count the Olympic Park that's just right across from it, those two combined takes up a lot of space. But it's kind of nice. I've seen like picnics around there, people getting a tan, even like a nice little man-made lake that's around there. But I think almost 2 years ago when I was walking around there, they seemed to be doing some kind of work and construction around it. Wonder if they made any, oh, it seems like it's still fenced off. Well, work in progress, everyone. Oh, wow. Even at least a week later over here too, I'm still seeing some damage done from that ice storm. Bunch of branches all around the park, and even some paths where there's a huge mound of it, like quite the hill. Man, people are going to be kept busy cleaning up all of this for a little while.
Papa's got a brand new bag. It's a jacket. He's doing the fly. Don't play him cheap, 'cause you know he ain't shy. You're doing the monkey. The mashed potato.
All right, Papineau Avenue was just passed by. Some of this does look like familiar territory to me because I did do a walk around here like almost last year. Actually, it was a little over a year ago when I was walking along the Jacques Cartier Bridge and then made my way along Rachel Street to go eastward. Oh yeah, the Imperial, Café Imperial was the place I went to. And actually, I'll put a link on the top right corner for you to watch that too, because the Jacques Cartier Bridge is a pedestrian bridge and has a bike path. So if ever you want to get across it, but you're too chicken to do that or too afraid, you can live through me, because I did that. It was a great walk and a lot of fun.
He's doing the fight every day and every night. The thing.
Right behind me was Delormier Avenue. So that's actually another street that I'm pretty familiar with. I've talked about it before in my videos, but I feel like I could bring it up again. That's the street that we get off on from the Jacques Cartier Bridge whenever we would be going to visit my grandmother up in Rosemont. So it's a route I was pretty familiar with. We usually go up to Delormier until Bellechasse, but then go eastward, and then next thing you know, we'd be around the Beaubien and Saint Michel. Some of the buildings look like they're kind of familiar to me. Some stores have remained open, others have changed. It's like something I've been seeing a lot. You visit several areas from time to time, you can see just how different it is over the last couple of years. Never mind the last couple of decades. As for any other routes I would have taken to get to Rosemont, I do remember that, I probably mentioned it before, but I'll say it again. There were some times that, I don't remember the exact reason, like it could have been construction, detours, or other stuff that was happening, but it was a point where we would go up Rachel and then up to Saint Michel Boulevard to get to her place. So it's a route that we took from time to time. I just don't remember the entire circumstance for why I would have done that. I can only just make an educated guess after the fact.
Every trip.
Yeah, it's crazy weather again. It's still pretty warm, the sun is up, but it's because of the wind and the shade that I have right now that it feels colder than it was like at least an hour ago. Insane how it works. Ah well, I'm sure I'll warm up along the way or I'll get some more sun. So in case you're wondering which area I'm going to be heading towards, it's eastbound towards the Angus shop, or the Angus district of Rosemont. It's a place I've covered a few times on the channel, but I feel like that sometimes I go to repeated places and I always find something new to discover. But if you ever want to revisit it, I'm putting a card for the top right corner for you to watch in case you want to see my very first visit around there. Because I didn't cover that like Boxing Day 2021 around Rosemont once again to show another place that's away from my grandmother's location. something I've been saying to myself and to friends is it's just incredible the amount of microbrewers that have opened up around the Rosemont area. So within the last 2 years, I've discovered there's La Succursale on Masson Street. There's L'Île de Garde that's on Beaubien Christophe Colomb. There's a whole bunch of them around. And Ma Brasserie that's on Holt, close to Iberville. I don't know what it is, but the scene has changed a lot around here since I had visited my grandmother up in the old Ukrainian territory. Now this spot I'm at is called La Chope d'Angus, and I actually just discovered it because it was one of the things that was suggested to me on Instagram or when I was looking up random beer places to drink, and funny enough, it's a play on words. I had to look at what a chope is exactly. So chope, C-H-O-P-E, from what I've seen, could mean draft beer that's served in Brazil, but I think specifically a chope is supposed to be a stein. So think like the giant beer glass with the handle on it, and that's supposed to be what it's looking like. But it's really a pun of just the old area. Once again, when the Canadian Pacific Railway used to have a presence around here, this used to be the Angus shop. So this is where the trains would have been repaired, built, and then just fixed up around here. Once again, it ties into my family story because my dad was a railroader, so he already knew about this yard. Once CP had moved a lot of their presence from Quebec and moved more towards Western Canada, this area had to redevelop a lot. So they replaced a lot of the yard with offices, a couple of condo complexes. But the beauty is, once again, if you've seen this area, a lot of the architecture, they kept the facade of the exterior of the shop, but changed the interior. So from the outside, you can kind of see what it looked like when it was a train shop. Oh yeah, it does remind me of another one. I'm putting a link on the top right corner for a visit to a very nice restaurant I visited around here that's called La Baraque. And that was supposed to be like an old train shop too. They kept the old architecture of it intact, but they made it into a nice little bistro. Had an amazing beer and beef tartare around there. Now, because this thing is supposed to be a microbrewer, you can always get these tasters too to see what you have available. And I wanted to try a few of them that I've never had before, because as far as I could tell, I've never seen their stuff in any shop anyways. And I was even given a good suggestion what to get. So first one I've got over here is Carte des Femmes, which is an American pale ale. Carte des Femmes is French for a woman's heart, so I guess I could bring out the woman in me. And this one is an American style pale ale, so it's like medium strength, 5%, maybe medium hops. I remember reading that they said they use Cascade hops in here. Not sure, but it's a good one to start with. They usually tell you to start with the lighter flavor and then go to the stronger flavor. Now let's see what this is like. Not bad at all. An American Pale Ale, it kind of makes me think of, for some reason the taste makes me think of Labatt 50, like one of my dad's style of beers. I can kind of dig that. Next is a Keller beer called Keller du Parc. Park Killer? Really? I'll have to look up what it's supposed to mean. But it's like another way of having a nice typical blonde. I think the pale ale though, compared to the Keller beer, is a bit more caramelized. So that's what gives it a bit of a different flavor when you're drinking it. Also pretty smooth too. Okay, there's another one coming up. A British golden ale called L'Ordre du Fou. Or, wait, actually it might be confusing. L'Ordre du Fou translates to fool's gold, and I'm sure you've heard that expression before. Okay, I think this is the fool's gold. It's supposed to be like a British style golden ale. So I've seen like British ales before, like that Iron Maiden Trooper one that has a very similar taste. But, you know, it's all good. And then the last one I'm going to be giving a shot is Capybara, and it's a style I don't really showcase as much on the channel. It's supposed to be an English style brown ale. So brown ales tend to be very nutty and sometimes have a bit of a smoother texture. Like the easiest ones I've had before is Les Curieux from Brasseur du Monde. And that one you can kind of tell because on the can it has a picture of a squirrel spying on some acorns in through his binoculars. So it's like perverted squirrel espionage I like to joke about. Yeah, smooth and nutty. So it's just the way that I expected it to be. The beauty is this one's only 4.5%, so it's definitely on the lighter side. And as for what a capybara was, I actually had to Google that because I had no clue either. Capybara is supposed to be like a rodent from South America, and I guess the color is supposed to match their fur. Okay, so quite nice. Honestly, I kind of like them all equally, but I would have to go for the Carte des Femmes. That's the one that's speaking the most to me right now. Super. So I did get my other beer here, but I knew that I needed to have something to eat, and seeing how it's one of those places that there is beef tartare on the menu, I thought there's no way I couldn't have that, because the last time I had it was, well, it felt like it's been a while, and it's especially been a while since I showcased it on the channel, and it looks really awesome, I have to say. So the fries look absolutely amazing. You got a good salad on here. I think I saw like apple capers that this comes with, which is something I've never ever actually heard before. But I'm gonna give it a taste. Well, first I'm gonna have a fry because those are obviously awesome. Oh yeah, if you're wondering what kind of beverage I'm doing, I had to go for the one IPA that was on the menu, at least in terms of their house beers. This one's called L'Américaine. I'm sure it's a pun on words. So it turns out that l'amar, like amar means bitter in French, and ricain seems like it's a slang word for American. So it's almost like saying bitter American. That's the best guess I can have. But because it's the only IPA on the menu, I figured, you know, why not? Give it a taste. Cheers, everyone. I don't know if I'd say it's bitter, but it's definitely like amber and hoppy. So typically what you would expect with an IPA. And now, I'm gonna give this a taste test to see what this is like. And I'm sure that all my crunches are being caught on camera too in the microphone, but whatever. That's it. They use it with some pesto, some radish. There's actually black garlic in here, which I don't think I've seen as much around this neck of the woods. Roquette, pecorino, so I guess those are the types of cheese. So it's a little bit strong, but it's overall amazing. Tasty. It also feels like a very good summer meal, so highly recommended. This is awesome. So that was a really tasty tartare that I had. I've never had it with black garlic and pesto before, but it's also highly recommended if ever you're around this area. And that was a really good American IPA. But I feel like if I want to finish things off before I hit the road, I had to do a coffee before, you know, so I could re-energize myself. And unlike earlier in the afternoon when I was doing an allongé, I decided to go for the equivalent of an Americano. And you already know my style with that. Americano is basically a shot of espresso with some water added here to give you the flavor of espresso, but with the quantity of a drip coffee. So it's a kind of nice best of both worlds. And I'm not doing it with milk or with sugar, because one thing I've heard before, I'll have to do a bit more research, is that when a coffee is really good, you don't necessarily have to have cream and sugar there to kind of mask it. It's almost like a steak. A good steak with the right amount of seasoning doesn't need ketchup or other condiments. So I guess that's a similar analogy. Amazing. So yeah, a very nice way to spend a Friday afternoon that was really warm. Not so warm right now because take note that I'm wearing my coat once again. Because, you know, with the sun setting, the bit more wind, a bit more clouds, you kind of need to have a bit of protection here. It was a good way to kind of wrap up my vacation before I have to go back to work, back to reality, back to, well, you know, whatever pays the bills. Because let's face it, this YouTube channel doesn't pay the bills whatsoever. This is a labor of love. Just a way for me to share a few good spots around Montreal, share my wanders, share my stories, and you know the drill. But it's been a fun week. I cannot say that I didn't make the most of this week off away from the office. But, you know, eventually all things must come to an end. Or like the George Harrison album goes, all things must pass. And yeah, I say as a Beatles fan. Anyways, everyone, I'm just going to give you a little toast. So thanks for watching this latest edition of the Wandering Ukie Cheese Café. And if you like what you see, you know what to do. Click that subscribe button below and give me a thumbs up if you enjoy my storytelling, my antics, my aged cheddar, for lack of a better term. Leave a comment below if you have an idea for a future episode or a place I should travel to, and let's see if I can integrate it. Till then, take care, see you soon, and hopefully the next time I record this will be even warmer. Precious bean nectar, such a beautiful thing.